Hello, Shoojit Sircar, and welcome to the Quint.
Hello, Suresh. Hello. Nice to see you again.
Same here. Thoroughly enjoyed Sardar Udham, and I've been waiting to speak to you about the film. You've got a lot of rave reviews, and I've got a lot of questions. I wanted to know, when did the idea of making a film on Udham Singh come to you? Was there a trigger point?
I actually wanted to make a film on Bhagat Singh for long back. So I came here to make a film actually on Bhagat Singh and, also connecting it to Jallianwala Bagh. So that's how it is. And while doing it, I started exploring Sardar Udham. And then when exactly did it click that I want to make a film on Sardar Udham? I don't remember. It's been long years, but I've been with this um, person and this journey of this Sardar Udham and Bhagat Singh and the entire Punjab freedom movement. So I've been reading a lot about them, so about that era and what happened, what went behind. So I think, yeah, and then I think Shubhendu, my friend writer, he said we should make, we should not, be confused and make many things. Just let's concentrate on the Sardar Udham. So that's how I think it's boiled down to.
You know, what made the film stand out for me was that it's such a personal journey. It's such a personal film. You know, usually when one sees a film about a freedom fighter or a revolutionary, there are crowds, there are rousing speeches, there are patriotic songs, and there is a protagonist who's inspiring a whole population. But here's this guy who's a loner, who has this one driving force within him, which he sort of nurtures and carries with him. And then he finishes what he set out to do. Did you always think of this as this deeply personal film?
Yes, of course. I mean, it was. I mean, because uh, there are certain understanding um, that I think we acquired, you can say, after reading and studying and meeting um, a lot many experts. That was one. And secondly, certain things I presume that they must be um, normal people like you and me. I mean, they were not just gods who just came and became a revolutionary. I mean, they must have just these simple ordinary uh, uh, minds and lifestyles. It just made them revolutionary because of their possibly uh, their right voice. They possibly voiced whatever it was right for the society, for the people, and against this imperialistic British government. So I think it was always personal journey, because for a person to keep it for so long, and at an early age, what that person has experienced, I think he's seen everything. I mean, he died that day, possibly on the day he has experienced that massacre.
Right.
So I think after that he was just living, and I think he was trying to explore, he was trying to do things, because but the entire he was shaken up completely. Then I don't think after seeing all that anybody can just do whatever. I mean, he must be a changed person.
Right. Shrishita, I want to know, what was your main guidelines to your writers, Ritesh Shah and Shubhendu Bhattacharya? One, was it a conscious decision to not make a cinematic hero out of Udham Singh? Secondly, you are crisscrossing again across timelines. There is no start, middle, and end. You have sort of subverted the whole traditional narrative. So, what were your guidelines to your screenwriters?
The guideline was actually quite simple. Uh, as you said, that there was no, it was just going, back and forth. So even when I was researching and studying about him, so I also found some facts about him very fragmented. So they were also not very in a very what you call in a chronological order. So they were all, I was getting certain information about him. So there is very quite a less information about him, apart from the hanging and his assassination. Rest all are, the people know about it, but there is a lot of myth also around it. So I think it was quite simple. The way we are trying to find the character, we will start finding him in the film also the similar way. So I think that's why whatever information came in and went back and investigation. So I think that was the brief. So anyway, the Shubhendu structure was quite set that, we will do we will go for investigative. And I was also sure that Shubhendu, we will go for an investigative, because we also in the film should explore him, who he was. So if you see, the film does not completely open him about what he was. We don't know. There's mystery. You will have to understand. You will have to, contemplate yourself what you understand about him or about his revolutionary thoughts.
Right, right. So the non-linear structure is in a way very organic to the way you discovered Udham Singh yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like most period films, and especially biopics, you have taken cinematic liberties. Parts of it are probably fictionalized. So I just wanted to know that the whole part where Sardar Udham is, working for Michael O'Dwyer, goes hunting with him, were those parts fictionalized?
So in certain facts, it is believed that he was chasing him quite closely, right? Did he actually work for him or not? I mean, still we don't know, right? Their family said no, he never worked, but some people said no, he was interacting with him at some certain point in quite a close range. So I think then we took, I think it was, and also we wanted to understand the imperialistic system, how it works, and we didn't have a device. So for us, the only device was Michael O'Dwyer. What was his thinking? How does an colonial imperialistic white supremacy, how do they think about this brown world, the brown people, how do they want to rule the colonial, the mindset. So I think, so we used this device of Michael O'Dwyer, because some of the Michael O'Dwyer's book is there also. India as I Knew, there's a book where he has written a lot of things, and he was absolutely anti-Gandhi also, and anti-rebels, and he actually supplied and got people from Indian villages for World War One also, and World War Two also. I think he helped. No, not World War Two, World War One. So I think all that was real facts. So we thought, let us use him as a device and a metaphor to understand how an imperialistic mind works.
What Sardar Udham also shows us in quite unabashedly is that he, along with Bhagat Singh, were atheists, communists, and deeply secular. At a time when political parties try to appropriate freedom fighters, do you think films like yours are important in also giving us this bit of information and setting the record straight?
I think that's the job of an artist, and an art should do that. Art is an expression of what's the truth, possibly. Right. And if I don't do it, then I will be cheating with art. I will be cheating with myself. I mean, so I think what they were and were thinking was, and I think whatever I've shown of Bhagat Singh is all written by him. So his poetry, his choices of books, what he followed, what he believed, it's all there. So I think there is no point that I would, shy away from that. So I would have done complete injustice to both of them. And I wanted to do Bhagat Singh, as I said, as a film long back. And here I got a chance of actually portraying both of them. So I would rather say I was actually fortunate that I know in this film I could manage both of them and show their point of view in terms of freedom and rights and what they think humans or a society should be.
Right, right. What the film also shows us is that this person had a very clear, and the clarity of his thought. He's very clear that his anger and resentment is towards, after the Jallianwala massacre, is towards the British government and not to the English people. In fact, there's a letter in which he clearly says that he has more friends in England than perhaps he has in India. I want to know, through all your discovery of Sardar Udham, what's the one thing that has stayed with you about the man?
I think that one most important thing that stayed with me was that in this 21 years, after he meets Bhagat Singh, that somewhere in his mind, he was also racing towards death. That he is, and how could somebody just race with someone ki I'm going to die first, or no, I am going to die first. If you see that run and the race, it's like almost to that, ki, just imagine, at that age, whatever age they were then, how could these people have that much of sincerity in terms of not just the countrymen, but he says around the world, how could they think about equality? What is equality? And also live life like that, practice it actually. So I think, that's what makes me wonder about Udham. And also his elusiveness, quite a few things actually, he's elusive, and also trying to reorganize the entire thing, which they got completely, their party was completely wiped out. How he's going to reorganize? I think that effort to do something, I don't think he was all the time thinking about revenge, because he was not a killing machine. No, he was not the one who was and I've clearly spoken it out. I wanted to speak it out through Swain, that inspector, that you are not a killer.
Right.
You not a killer, but it's not that the revolutionaries have all the time they have guns and nothing else. It was speaking the right thing, protests, and voicing the right thing. So I think that was more really fascinating for them. And I think that speech that he does, that free speech, I think that I wanted specially, and I kept it. I told Ritesh, I'm surely going to have that, because that's the only place I'll know who he is. And also he will speak his heart out there.
Okay.
And that's what he does.
Okay. Sardar Udham is also impactful in many ways, because though it's a period film, it's also a reminder of the times we live in where dissent is difficult. There is, anything that you probably say can invite sedition. There are some reviews which have highlighted this point. Do you think such a reading of the film is also valid?
Well, if it is, nothing has changed. As he said about equality, and so we are not equal yet. So we are still in a society where it's completely, it's disbalanced. It's not balanced at all. There is no. So I think in this, in wherever you go in this world, so that disparity is increasing day by day. So I think so. A lot of senior journalists have asked me before, what is the relevance of it today? So I think the relevance of it is that, can you adapt for a better society what their thinking was? So if they are relating it to today or whichever places and whatever things, I think that's purely subjective. But I think what they spoke about, and in this also in the film as Sardar Udham as a film, is a pure truth, and you cannot deny truth.
Okay. Now, something that I found interesting when I read about Sardar Udham was that he acted as an extra in 2 or 3 films, English films. Were you not tempted to explore that part of his life?
No, I think we just mentioned it that he was an actor too. So and because those things he was just doing, just to somehow manage to live there in London, and but his main job was not that. He was just doing those side work, and but his main job was to reorganize. So I think I focused there absolutely straight.
I want to speak about your filming of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the whole sequence. You've kept it going. You've continued that sequence for a long time. It's unrelenting. That's probably why it has the kind of impact it has. But there's sort of a divided house on that sequence. There are some people who felt that it really hit home. There are some people who felt that it was too long. Were there any discussions on the edit table on how to go with that sequence, or were you very clear that this is how I want it done?
No, it was absolutely clear that I didn't let it happen. Yes, there was a discussion, but I didn't let it happen at all. See, I am a classical music fan, so my classical music pieces are long. It's not short. My mind works like a classical music piece, so you can understand that it takes time to grow. So I'm a person like that. All my films are like that. So it's not that this one. So I needed that length, and I needed to feel that with Udham. Yes, many people have been told that many people uh, thought that the film should have a shorter length. I understand that. But I felt, especially the end section, the Jallianwala section. But I think I needed that personally to feel it. So that's why I kept it. There's no debate on. There was debates from my team also, but I was absolutely adamant there.
Okay. Now, one of my last questions is Sardar Udham was one of the films that were in the list for the India's official entry to the Oscars this year. And the film which was eventually selected was Kurangal, a Tamil film. But I read this interesting comment by one of the panel members about Sardar Udham, and I wanted you to sort of react if you want to. There's this music composer by the name of Indradeep Dasgupta. I don't know whether you read his comment. So,
No, I haven't.
while praising Sardar Udham, he has said that it is a well-made production with brilliant cinematography that lives up to international standards, but it is a little lengthy and harps on the Jallianwala Bagh incident. It is an honest effort to make a lavish film on an unsung hero of the Indian freedom struggle, but in the process, it projects our hatred towards the British. In this era of globalization, it is not fair to hold on to this hatred.
So I think it's whatever he must have understood or whatever he must have felt seeing the film. I think I don't. Um, uh, I'm nobody to question him on that. I mean, it's absolutely his views. But in terms of the Oscar, what you are suggesting in terms of the panel, I think it's we definitely trust them. The jury, I think they must have found something really, really powerful about the Tamil film. I've seen the trailer also. It's really, really inspiring. Um, and also for the international audience, I think it will be a little difficult to understand Sardar Udham, because also fact is that they don't know the history of our 200 years of colonial world at all. They don't know who's Bhagat Singh is. They don't know about the HSRM movement. They don't know what's the Punjab they were. They know about the particular section of the Indian independence. Like if I show you a film on World War II with just the Nazi batch, you will know the politics of it, because you know what's there, in terms of who was Nazi, who was Hitler, everything. But in our thing, in our world, our history, they are completely unaware of. So it would have been very difficult for them to process that why this is lengthy, why this has been, the director is possibly indulging in this sequence. So I think we can still get it, but for them it will be very difficult to get. This is my understanding. I can purely. So I think what the jury must have thought and chosen. I think, and I appreciate that. And I think, and I'm with them absolutely with it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shoojit Jha, for talking to us. And it's always a pleasure watching your films. And we're already looking forward to your next one.
Thank you, Suresh. Thanks so much. I hope you have got all your answers.